everyone, how are you? My name is Teacher Gladys and I am your science teacher.
Vocabulary. Pupa. Pupa. Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. Amphibian. Amphibian. Hatch. Hatch. Tadpole. Tadpole. Larva. Larva. Insects. Insects. Growth. Growth. Size. Size. Our topic today is all about animal reproduction. Again, animal reproduction. Reproduction is the biological process by which new offspring are produced from their parents. It is a fundamental feature of all known life that each individual organism exists as the result of reproduction. Most importantly, reproduction is necessary for the survival of all species. There are two types of animal reproduction. The first type of animal reproduction is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction involves only one parent, a method of reproducing without the need of a second parent. Essentially, one parent creates an exact duplicate of itself or clone, meaning the offspring has only that parent's genes. This type of reproduction is an advantage in some environments because a large number of offspring can be produced in a short time. The four main forms of asexual reproduction in animals. First, fragmentation. Fragmentation, an organism is split into fragments, meaning to say breaking off the bodies into two parts. Each of these fragments develop into matured, full-grown individuals that are identical to their parents. Example, the reproduction of the starfish. As you can see here, the body of the parent starfish is split into fragments, and these fragments forms into a new offspring. Second, budding. Budding, it is a process in which a small part of the body of the parent organism grows out as a small projection called bud, which when detaches becomes a new organism. Example, the reproduction of Hydra. Hydra is a freshwater organism. As you can see, there's a tiny bump appears on the parent's hydra, and this tiny bump called bud. Then as the bud grows, it will break off or detach from the body of the parent hydra, and it will become an independent hydra. The third one is called fission, or also known as binary fission. The parent organism divides in two to produce two genetically identical daughter organisms. Fission is the simplest method of asexual reproduction. Example, the species of Tobillarian flatworms, commonly called as planarians. Planaria are able to separate their bodies into head and tail regions and then regenerate the missing half in each of the two new organisms. And the fourth one is parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis, the virgin birth, where an egg develops into a complete individual without being fertilized. Remember, without being fertilized. Example, in honeybees, the fertilized egg produced female bees, while the unfertilized egg produced the male bees. The second type of animal reproduction is sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, it involves the coming together of two gametes. Gamete is a term given to a sperm or an egg cell. So the female and male gametes or cell sacs fuse together to form a new individual. Sexual reproduction promotes variation because the offspring inherit or receive material from two different parents. The fusion of a sperm and an egg is a process called fertilization. This can occur either inside or outside the body of the female. So we have here the types of fertilization. The first type of fertilization is external fertilization. If when we say external, it means outside. Many gametes are released into the water by each sex at the same time and place. This type of fertilization requires water because animal sperm must swim to the eggs. Water also protects the gametes from drying out. Species which have external fertilization either live in the water or return to the water for reproduction. Example of external fertilization is the reproduction of salmon. The female deposits her ova on the riverbed, and then the male deposits his sperm in the water, and they swim to fertilize the ova. The second type of fertilization is internal fertilization. Internal means inside. Internal fertilization practiced by species that lay shelled eggs or have a period of internal development for growing organisms. It is a type of fertilization in which the union between male and female gametes occurs inside the body of the female. Metamorphosis is a biological process in which an animal physically develops after birth or hatch from the eggs. This is usually in distinct stages. So the first stage is called larva, sometimes passing through pupa and ending as an adult. There are two types of metamorphosis in insects. The first one is complete metamorphosis. In complete metamorphosis, there's an abrupt change between stages, passing from a larva into an inactive pupa and finally emerging as an adult. So there are 4 stages in complete metamorphosis. First one, the egg. Second, the larva. Third, the pupa. And the last stage is adult. Example, the life cycle of the ladybug. So the tiny yellow eggs are laid on the leaves. When the eggs hatch, it will turn to larva. After the larva stage, it will become a pupa, and after that one, it will become a adult ladybug. The second type of metamorphosis is incomplete metamorphosis. In incomplete metamorphosis, the insect develops in stages where each one is similar to the adult. The difference between each stage are usually small, often just difference in size and number of body segments. There are 3 important stages in incomplete metamorphosis. The first stage is the egg, second, nymph, and the third stage is the adult. Example, the life cycle of the cockroach. So the first stage we have here, the egg. When the egg hatch, it will become to nymph. Nymph is basically a small version of the adult insects. It is usually have a thin exoskeleton and no wings. They eat the same food as their parents and live in the same place. After the nymph stage, it will move on to the adult stage. In these pictures shows the difference between complete metamorphosis and incomplete metamorphosis. As we can see, in complete metamorphosis there are 4 stages. First one, the egg. Second, larva stage. Third, pupa. And the last one, the adult stage. While in incomplete metamorphosis, there are 3 stages. So first one is the egg stage, third, nymph stage, and the last one is the adult stage. Okay, we're done. Before we move on to our activity, let's have a quick review. So there are 2 types of animal reproduction. The first one is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction involves one parent and it has 4 forms. First one is fragmentation, second, budding, third, fission, and the last one is parthenogenesis. The second type of animal reproduction is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves the coming together of two gametes, and there are two types of fertilization. First one is internal fertilization, that is inside. Second, external fertilization, which means outside. Then metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is a process which an animal physically develops after birth. Then there are two types of metamorphosis. First one is incomplete metamorphosis. Incomplete metamorphosis has three stages. The first one is egg, second, nymph, the third one is adult. And the second type of metamorphosis is incomplete metamorphosis, and it has four stages. First, egg, second, larva, third, pupa, and the last one is the adult stage. I have here 10 questions for you to answer. Okay, very good. Now let's check your answers.
That's all for now. Thank you for listening. I hope you've learned something. Bye!